Hi, this is Jeff.
And this is Steve.
From the 12A Podcast,
where we talk entertainment and movies.
Under a budget.
Listen to us at foureyedradio.com.
And now, enjoy our friends on this next podcast.
This Four-Eyed Radio production is brought to you by America Joy Print Shop. All your printing needs taken care of in one convenient place. Visit americajoy.com for business cards, flyers, banners, decals, car wraps, and more. Visit americajoy.com.
Hey, podcast listeners out there in podcast land, did you miss us? Did you even know that we were gone? Do you even know who the hell we are? No? Well then, have I got a treat for you. After a 3-month sabbatical, the idiot section has returned, and just like a verp, which is a cross between a vomit and a burp, we are back to making you feel uncomfortable and leaving a bad taste in your mouth. We are sure it was worth the wait. My name is Steve, and along with my co-hosts Kyle and Steve-O, are the Idiot Section. We are, for the most part, a bi-weekly show on the Four-Eyed Radio Network, and we are coming to you today from the glamorous, socially awkward studios located in the penthouse office building on the corner of Central Avenue and Thomas Road. We can actually see Camelback Mountain from here, and all the rescue teams attempting to pluck out-of-state visitors from the mountain crevices and bring them to safety. Uh-oh. It looks like they just dropped a fat one. Man, that guy fell pretty fast. Our show today is being brought to you by the makers of plutonium. Plutonium is a radioactive element whose symbol is Pu, but it doesn't mean that it stinks. It was discovered in 1940. While this little atomic bugger occurs in trace amounts in nature, it takes a nuclear reactor to make mass quantities of it using uranium-238. The atomic number of plutonium is 94, meaning that all atoms of plutonium have 94 protons. Plutonium is used in radioscope thermoelectric generators, or something like that, which are used which is used to power spacecraft. The element has also been used in nuclear weapons, including the Trinity test and the bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki. Plutonium-238 is also used to power some heart pacemakers. It is highly recommended that you do not touch, ingest, smell, or look at unprotected plutonium, as you will most likely die.
What?
Well, it's true. Remember, plutonium is your friend in the nuclear age. This is our 10th show for the Four-Eyed Radio Network, or the Fern, and we could not be prouder. Well, we probably could, but we'll work with what we have. While we are a part of the Four-Eyed Radio Network and the Socially Awkward Studios, the conversations and views expressed on this show are the opinions, beliefs, and more than likely, the hearsay the participants are regurgitating to each other, and in no way represent the views, opinions, or philosophies of the aforementioned Socially Awkward Studios, Four-Eyed Radio Network, or any of the sponsors who are kind enough to support the nonsense you hear on it. The premise of the show is that the three of us get together every other week and talk about what we've been up to, stories we have read or heard, movies or shows we have seen, video games we have played, music we have listened to, and then make fun of them and each other for our benefit and hopefully for your entertainment. So, Kyle, what have you been up to since the last show?
No, nothing about anybody. I've been doing well. We went hiking since the weather has gotten cooler here in Arizona. It's finally got into double digits. And
single, double, or double single digits.
It depends on how you look at it.
Or triple digits minus one.
But yeah, like it's been hovering at like 90s and 80s, and finally, like in the morning, it's been about 60s and 70s. So we've been trying to get out to the mountain. Like we even went midweek this week to South Mountain. We have there's a passage up for on 48th and Guadalupe.
Yeah.
There's an entrance right there, so it only takes like 5 minutes for us to get there. So we load up the dogs and take them out, and it's funny because like Buddy doesn't whimper or whine or really like he barks at some things sometimes, but he does it at the most inopportune moment. Like we were out there, and both him and Daisy got one of the really big like barbs in their paw.
Yeah.
Like Buddy, like Daisy, we were able just to kind of pluck it out real lightly, and it came right out. But Buddy, he had to like put all his weight on it, so I had to pull it out and then pull out some barbs in his paw.
Oh, jeez.
Didn't flinch, didn't whine, did
Wow.
nothing. Sees a rabbit. And like is crying like he just got shot in the face.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a little bit like, dude, like I don't understand you, but he's doing fine. We have this microbial cream we put on,
Right.
like their paws, especially when it was hot out. So we just did that, and he's like, you wouldn't even know that he had done that, but they were huge.
Oh,
I
wow.
couldn't believe how big they got.
What do they do? They just stick out of the ground, or they step on the cactuses themselves?
I know there's certain cactuses that drop them, and they're really little. Like sometimes you see them in thorn bushes that are so small, but I think just over time they tend to start to grow.
Yeah.
Because they're almost like a tumbleweed. They roll around until they stick to something, and
then
they'll
they
take
start
root,
growing,
and
yeah.
then they grow into like a cactus. So I think that's what it was that he was stepping on. Were like these, but they've had grown, so like they released about an inch. Like some of the thorns on them were released about an inch. And I mean, you step on that and you got 2 or 3 of them like jabbing into you. So I think that's all he did. But he was fine. He made it through the rest of the walk, and he did very well. We also started. We listened to a new band recently called Atlas Genius.
Yeah.
They just came out. They kind of remind me of that one that Two Door Cinema Club. They kind of poppy, weird guitar playing.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they were on Jimmy Kimmel one time, and they were on I think Jimmy Fallon also. And they have a very eclectic kind of sound. It's kind of electronic, but they have just very good vocals.
Right.
It's just kind of music you can have on in the background, very much like a coffee shop kind of vibe. You put it on, just kind of hang out, and it's just there in the background. It's not really one you really, fall in love with or listen to the lyrics and, oh my God, what he's saying is so true. It's just more like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. It's not annoying.
Yeah,
so.
people's farts, they smell bad. Yeah, I can relate.
yeah.
Yeah. And then we go
That's some
out
good
and get
coffee.
real man.
So, yeah, just like that.
That kind of music. Hey, maybe that is my song.
But yeah, so that's all we've been up to. Oh yeah, and then thank you, Rob and Marge. They were nice of us.
Yes, thank you.
Where's
my phone, damn
Yeah,
it.
that's what we laughed about. So they updated their phones. And this was after we switched to them. We did a family plan with them to save money, and I offered. I was like, well, you're still saving us money, so if I could contribute anything,
Right.
it's still cheaper than what I was paying. Because I was paying $80 alone, and with the family plan's $30 for both Lindsay and I.
Hey, you're keeping your daughter away from him.
Well, I guess so. But what ended up happening was that when we went, they were like, "Oh, well, this is some small way that And I said you were going to say this too. I was like, "This is some small way that we can repay Steve for everything he's done for us with moving our daughter."
Wait. Let me get this straight. Go ahead. Come on. You know it's coming.
Yeah. So then I was just like, "Oh, okay. Well, that was very nice of you to buy me a phone."
And that's how you thanking me. Yeah.
Exactly. So I said, my dad's going to be more upset that you didn't buy him a phone than you could buy us one. But they all upgraded to the Samsung S4.
Yeah.
And then I found the Nokia Lumia. And it was funny because when I went to get the Nokia Lumia to get that was only $40 as opposed to their $100.
Yeah, right.
Phone.
Yeah.
So they were all like, "Oh, way to be cheap, Kyle! Save us even more money."
Yeah, nice. So not only do they buy you a phone to thank me for the thousands of dollars I spent bringing their daughter back here, but you get the $40 phone.
Yeah.
Well, lovely. Yeah, thanks, Rob. Thanks, March. What a payback.
Yeah, but so it was nice. But yeah, it was good. We got the upgrade plan on it. $10.
I could just see what would happen. He's going to need a kidney, and mine will match. And here, I have 2 of them. And I'm going to pay you back by giving you a package of Pop Rocks. Here you go. Now we're paid in full.
But I gave them to Kyle. So.
Yeah. I gave him the Kyle. So yeah,
that's exactly. And then it was funny because we said,
yeah, nice. I like how that worked.
Yeah,
nice logic in that family.
Repay this guy back by giving his son a
new phone. Who doesn't even live with him? Yeah. Who's not even on his plan to begin with?
And we didn't need.
Actually, it doesn't benefit at all. It's all Kyle's benefit. But he's paid back now, so I'm okay.
So enjoy.
Yeah, really. Oh, that was fun.
So thanks for the phone, Dad. It's very.
Oh, you're welcome, Kyle. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's worth $2,000 that I spent it.
Yeah. So, and even Lindsay said the same thing. She's like, "No, yeah, like don't like." And then we were talking about that too because we took them to breakfast.
Yeah.
And we invited, so we paid, and then they got all uppity about that, and we said, "This doesn't make sense. Like, we're inviting you out, but then you're paying. Like, that doesn't make any sense." And so we finally had to have that talk of like, if you invite us out, we will never fight you for the bill. But if we invite you out, just let us pay. It's easier if you just let us pay. We're inviting you. We had the funds, like. And it was also because of that, like, and because you're possibly buying us all phones today, so the least we could do is buy you some food, you know.
Yeah. So you probably spent what, like $45 for breakfast?
Same as my phone. Hey.
Yeah. So it worked out well.
That was a good breakfast too.
Oh, that's good. You know, it's funny what you said about the cactus. I mean, I don't know if you guys know the story about Prickle.
I heard about the Spreaker
Okay.
character.
Well, for those of you on the other side of the microphone, Prickle was basically what happens is every so often I end up finding a little cactus growing in the yard somewhere. Some people think that maybe what happens is a mouse goes across to the neighbors and eats like one of the fruit that comes off the prickly pear, poops out a little seed, and away it goes.
It takes root.
So what had happened was a long time ago, I found like a little prickly pear plant growing underneath where the AC units are. So I meticulously got rid of all the dirt and stuff around it by water, squirting water, put it in a pot and just let it go. And now it's pretty big. It's pretty huge. Well, about a couple of years later, there was another thing that happened, and it looked like a pickle. It really did. It looked like a pickle. It was about maybe, 2 inches tall, thin and slender. But it was, at first I thought it was a saguaro cactus because it was just like that. I said, all right, great. So I grabbed him. I threw him in a planter and pot rather, and he started growing. So I called him Prickle because he's, looks like a pickle, but he's got prickles on him. So anyway, Prickle starts growing and growing and growing. Prickle's now like almost 2 feet tall.
Jesus.
And it's got like those fans on it, so it's definitely a prickly pear cactus, but it must be a different type because it grew real tall. It didn't like start pushing out. Well, one of the leaves that were on it, I guess either me or one of the landscaper guys must have knocked it off, and it was laying on the side next to it. So I said, well, let me see what I could do with that. So I grabbed it and I put it into a cup and I just kept filling it with water for like a week. And then all of a sudden what I did is I noticed it grew roots literally about almost 4.5 inches long.
Wow.
I said, all right, cool, let me try that. So I found another pot, dug a little hole, put the roots in there, and just, try to stand it up, but it kept falling over. So I said, I'll just leave it down. So it was laying down, but the roots were covered, and I kept watering it. Well, about 5 days later, I came out, and the thing was standing straight up on its own.
Wow.
Like the roots must have already taken place, and it just flipped itself up, ready to. So it was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, just like Ian Malcolm said, life will find a way.
Chaos theory.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see, what else was I doing? Oh, this past week, I had the pleasure of dropping my car off at the dealer, and what I do is I drop it off, wait for the shuttle. And while I was waiting, there's a guy sitting next to me, and he was just sitting there, and he wasn't doing anything. So I said, well, let me annoy this guy. So,
hey, buddy. Hey.
So I said, hey, I said, how's your, we started striking up a vehicle about conversation, about his car, about my car. So anyway, we kind of started talking about the reason why he buys foreign, Hondas at least now and stuff. And the reason why I told him I started to is because of my crappy experience with American cars growing up. I mean, they're short lifespan. They last, 5-6 years if you're lucky, and that was about it. So he said, yeah, about the same thing. He said the decline of the automobile industry back in the 90s to now, and how now the American cars are starting or are as good as the foreign cars, but because of the bad taste in a lot of people's mouths from back then, some people will never even buy an American car anymore. They'll just say, sorry, I'm not gonna try it out. Well, one of the things I found out is this guy is still a college professor, and we started talking about like education of the children and stuff like that. And it was actually funny because he says, well, I'll be honest with you. He goes, I think school sucks. So he goes, don't get me wrong. No, I believe in higher education. He goes, but school sucked when he went to school. It sucked when his kids went to school. And he goes, and it still sucks to this day. He goes, he said the schools are still basically teaching the same crap they taught when he was a kid. And he goes, the world has changed, people. Why aren't we updating the curriculum? Why are we still learning about the Revolutionary War? He goes, yeah, everybody knows we had a war against the British and we won. He goes, it's pretty self-evident. He says, and if you want to kind of go over the reasons why that happened, like the taxation and the whole idea of trying to get our independence from Britain, that's fine. He says, but how about bringing in some of the modern-day wars? Why are we fighting those? Why are we, doing this, that, and the other thing? And he goes, and they don't do it. And I go, well, yeah, I said the only thing that has changed is maybe the method, and in which many instances it's too complicated and confusing for the parents to actually help the kids. Because I remember trying to help you guys in school,
yeah.
And it was like, okay, this is my math problem, and it was like, okay. So I said, well, this is how I was taught to do it. And to me, it seemed a very simple, straightforward way. And the way that they were teaching you guys is, oh, no, you got to look for this and the coefficient and the this and the that and the other thing. And it says, well, yeah, that's great if you're going to become a nuclear physicist.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're just trying to solve a simple equation like...
I'm in second grade.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, I understand that if you're in a room and you want to figure out the square footage because you're going to buy a carpet, which is practical knowledge, it's length times width equals the area and divide it, get your square foot and all that other stuff. So it's like, yeah, but I mean, to have to do this and what's the coefficient, the tangent of this?
Who gives a crap?
It's true. But it was, and the reason why we started the conversation is because I told him, I said because the state of Arizona, I read a couple of, I think last week, where they are now going to start teaching personal finance in high school. Nice. And it's like, well, hallelujah! It's about time, I mean, why don't you teach something practical? Yeah, you're teaching algebra, you're teaching geometry, you're teaching trigonometry. How about you teach a kid how to figure out his checkbook? How about you teach kids about home mortgages, about interest rates, about principal and interest and credit cards, and paying the practical stuff that you're going to need once you get out of high school. And one of the other things he said that was cool, he goes, unfortunately, schools are still pushing that, college is the end all and be all of education. He said that, too much is being pushed. He goes, even himself as a college professor, he said that not everyone is cut out for college, and that the schools should include more trade-related subjects to kind of let kids know that there are other equally, if not as important, things to do out there besides going to college and have to, spend $1 bazillion to get a degree that half the kids not coming out of college can't even do anything with.
It's true, because I remember when we were in college, they were teaching us about Japanese popular culture, American popular culture, and it was actually interesting because Japan has a very big philosophy on, you go to all these schools, obviously their education is huge, like they're very focused on early education. They start people like year round, like, and beat it into them, but they have a very practical approach to that. As of like senior year, if you're dumb as bricks, they're not going to like try to push you any further.
Right.
They're going to start telling you there's vocational schools, there's things like that.
Right.
Because they feel the same way that, we need doctors and lawyers and astronauts and all that other stuff, but we also need someone to fix my car. We also need somebody who can fix my toilet when it blows up.
Exactly. Like, you're going to need somebody to do the lighting when it's not working.
Exactly.
Or fix the plumbing in the house, or to find leaks and things.
So they said, like, as much as you want to push everyone to be, something that is great and grandeur, like a plumber makes pretty damn good money. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, them just to come out to your house. That's what that entrepreneur teacher we had in high school, Glass, Mr. Glass, used to always say, is like, become a plumber. He goes, you don't want to go to college, become a plumber. It's like, just to come out to your house is $100. He's like, just for you to say, like, oh yeah, you just flush your toilet, that'll be $100.
Well, I had these guys. I mean, the guys who came out and did the plumbing for mine. I mean, it's stuff I could have done, but I don't have all the tools. I don't have all the equipment. I don't have all that stuff.
And it takes them like 5 minutes.
Right. Well, these guys came out. They spend a day. Because what they had to do is because the way the sinks were, they didn't line up exactly with where the old sinks were, so they had to do additional piping and stuff. They spent the whole day, and it was like $1,500 to do it. And it was like, geez, but hey, there's no way I could have done that.
Yeah, and whereas most people make $1,500 in a month or in a pay period, and it's like, they made it in one full day.
And you're talking about 3 guys, so $500 a day for one day's worth. Not bad. That's more than I make in a day.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a nice chunk of change. So I agree. Yeah, I think vocational. I always push that on people. I always get calls from people asking me like if I want part-time, like 12 hours to do like consultant work and stuff. And I say, unfortunately, I'm doing very well here. And then they always ask, well, do you know anybody who's looking or things like that? And one of the things I always tell them, I said, well, if your best bet is actually try the vocational schools, seniors graduating, looking for experience, have the latest in training. Like they'd kill for a job like that, $15 an hour, right out of school. I'm like, you contact them and start getting a partnership with some of the schools. So I actually got a lady, she sent me a $20 gift certificate because she said because I had recommended that to her, they now have a rapport with the school. So anytime they get these like kind of handy dandy, like low end jobs, they can pass them off to people who are looking for that experience as opposed to wasting people like me who are so she gave me a little bit of a boost for being like, hey, thanks for, thinking outside of like, the mainstream instead of always focusing on somebody with a high education. Yeah. Because obviously, people like me and stuff want more money. We want more responsibility, more money because we've done it for longer. So it makes sense that. Yeah,
but anybody who's just starting out would love a little dinky thing like that.
And that's what they're looking for. They want to pay people low, but want the tools. So like, why not start them there?
Sure. Well, it's funny. Even the one guy was telling me, he said there was one. I think he said it was Northwest University that started doing it. It was like there was a six weeks of the semester you spent in the classroom learning, and then you spent 6 weeks out in the field actually doing it. And he said it's been so successful that they're going to try to start pushing it out to other things.
Well, that makes sense because even Grandpa talked about that where he used to like you go to school to learn stuff, but then they were like, all right, go do your ambulance rides, go do this, go do that. Yeah. Because he's like, how else are you going to learn unless you're out there doing it?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I did is I took Uncle Gary out for his birthday lunch the other day. Now, Uncle Gary is 60 years old. And I was telling your mom today, I says, I've known this guy for like 20 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's how long we've kind of been friends with each. Kind of been friends. We're not real friends. We're just kind of friends.
You don't really have a bromance. You're just more.
No. It's more of a just hey, you want to go to concert? Yeah, okay, fine. All right, fine. I don't want to go alone. Yeah,
I can tell.
Well, as long as I don't have to talk to you, I can just sit here and listen to the concert for the hour. And then after it's done, we'll go, oh, see ya. Yeah, that was fun. Oh yeah, we had a great time together. That's that's kind of bromance I like.
So where did you guys meet? Was it at Gateway? Or
we met as it was fun. Yeah, we met at Gateway Data Sciences. He was working there, and then I had started, and then first thing he said to me, he goes, "Oh, do you go to lunch?" I go, "Yeah, I go to lunch." He goes, "Oh, great.
Do you eat food?
To lunch here? Yeah, do you breathe? Fantastic.
Even better.
Hey, do you walk upright? Oh, thank God. Yeah.
You're wearing pants. Me too.
Now, wait a second. Do you use toilet paper? Or no, you do. Great. You're my new best friend." Yeah, so anyway, that was the start of a beautiful relationship. Yeah, he's been through a lot of different companies. It's funny. I think he recommended me for the job at Rural when I got that one, and then about 6 months later he quit and went somewhere else.
See ya.
Yeah, I got my Founders Fee.
It's like
I'll go over here and try to get you in there, get my Founders Fee, then I'll go to the next place, try to get you my Founders Fee. Yeah, dirtbag. Yeah, but that wasn't too bad.
What concert did you guys go see?
Well, the last one, actually, it was really funny. I only heard of the last concert. Mom and I were watching the news, and rarely we watch. It's like the 6:30 news.
Oh, right.
So they took it. And these are things that are going on this week, and they started talking about different things. It goes, and on Thursday, the Bare Naked Ladies are playing a Talking Stick. I go, Talking Stick? That's like right across Pecos Road, which is like right near us. And I go, I didn't know they were going there, so I had to get online, found him, and he said, yeah, he'd go. So that was the last one we went to. Cool. And so what I did is I was checking it out, and the reason why they're touring is they have a new album out called Grinning Streak. They always try to do a play on words for their albums and stuff. So I had given you a copy of it.
Yeah, okay, that's when you just got it. And you just got that from the library?
Yeah.
That was good. I liked it a lot. Like Lindsay and I listened to it over the weekend when you gave it to us.
Yeah.
And then I ended up she was like, oh, where's that CD? I was like, oh, well, I took it, with me to my drive because I liked it so much. And I burned onto the computer and stuff to listen to it at home and stuff. And like, I liked it. My favorite one is I believe the Boomerang.
Yeah, that's good.
I like it because it's this guy and I got a nice.
Yeah, if you want, check out the video for it. What they did what they said is, it was funny, I was doing some research, and they were saying that when they, every time they come out with a new album, they're supposed to come out with a video so it can go out to things and this and that. And they go in the
to MTV, which doesn't play videos.
Yeah, and they say, it's like Yeah, they have to come up with a video, but for them, they have to hire people. Then they have to figure out what they want to do, and then they have to do. So what they did is they have, I guess, most bands have like a website and they have like a following. So what they did is they broadcast out to the fans is come up with a video for this song, and if we select it, you'll tour with us and you're backstage. So the video is actually pretty cool. It's somebody did it, and it's all animation. It's like a little cartoon thing that did, and I checked it out. It was, it's kind of, no big deal.
Somebody did
but it's cool. Somebody did it, and somebody did it for the purpose of the Bare Naked Ladies thing. But it was I'll get into the concert later, but it was pretty funny how that worked out.
The one track we like too is the song starts with "Talk is cheap" until I started talking to
professionals. Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of some of the wordplay they have in there is cool. It was like. There was something. There was another one. Another line that I like. It goes, "Oh, something's got a hold of me. Not sure if it's alcohol or alchemy."
Alchemy, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like alcohol or chemistry type thing. It was it was kind of cool. Yeah, so it's when they were. It's a shame that Stephen Page, who was with them for a long time, they kind of split ways a couple of years ago, and this is the second album I think they've done without him. But they still do a lot of their old songs.
Good, like Lindsay and I you could not have told us that somebody had left the band,
right?
Because they still sounded just the same as when we first heard them.
And they still do songs that he used to sing the lead for, and it still sounds pretty good. And in concert, they're a great band to see in concert. They really enjoy what they're doing. They goof around with each other. They goof around with people on the stage, the audience and stuff. And it's I'll get into a little bit later in my review section. So anyway, so you got a fun story this week?
Actually, this was pretty good. So police in Ohio deal with this idiot who called 911 to inform them that he was going to kill them all. He was polite enough to at least go right to the source and call 911 to report how he was going to kill every police officer and every paramedic in Ohio.
Oh, that was nice.
So then when they caught him and arrested him, which of course drugs and alcohol were a factor, they made him his sentence by the judge was for him to stand in front of the police station wearing a sign that said, "I'm an idiot. I called 911 to tell everyone that I was going to do this."
Right.
And had his crime and everything. And he looks pretty much the part of an idiot. He has a huge beard and he's very much looks like he's done nothing but drink all his life.
Right.
So he has to now sit out there. I think they said he has to sit out there for another 6 weeks to every day he comes in kind of has a time card, fills out, gets a lunch break and stuff, is supervised, but he stands out there all day just showing people yep, this is what I did, I was stupid.
Yeah.
And then what was funny is they said when they interviewed the guy, he says, well, luckily I have 6 weeks and it's good because it's starting to get cold. So they said that's gonna be that's part of the sentence is now you're having to stand outside in the snow and stuff. Yeah. So it's just it was just brilliant the way they're handling it. You know what? That's what we need to kind of go back to is the dunce cap sometimes.
Right. Right.
Just
shaming people.
Put somebody after being this is why you don't do stuff. Is because you look the fool. And that's what it was. He had no weapons in his home. He didn't have any violent tendencies. He was just drunk and intoxicated and said, I'm going to be funny and I'm going to, threaten death to everyone. And then of course everyone showed up.
Funny. Yeah.
Hey, we're not really laughing here. So it was pretty funny. When you see the picture, there's a picture on the link. Of him, he just has the most yep, I'm an idiot. He knows what he has done. So
it's a shame that something. But the problem is with him doing that. What they're doing now is they're educating other idiots not to do the same thing.
That's true.
So now what they'll do is an idiot. Oh, I'm not going to do that, and then they'll do something else.
Outside. Yeah. I don't like standing.
I don't like being. That's too much like work.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it's weird. It was this the other thing. The other guy and I were talking about. It was I know I'm probably starting to sound in the olden days things were but it's true. It's back in my time. It's if you got in trouble for doing something, it was your family's name that was being
tarnished.
Tarnished. It was
you're from the Moonies.
Your dad's going to find out about this, and you're just supposed to be living up to this image of your parents being upstanding and nowadays it's nobody cares.
Well, my parents are the Kardashians. So.
Well, yeah, that's not.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
My mom and dad are the Lohan. So, really? Well, you're only drunk 12 times. You're really a pillar of society,
Yeah,
aren't you?
exactly. It's like, oh, you poor child.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like, here, take the car that you were stealing. Like, oh man. But yeah, it's true though. Like we were talking about that. Lindsay and I were saying, like, you know, everyone's actions are a reflection on them more themselves, and that's what I think the issue is no one wants that reflection on themselves anymore. They're easy to blame, like, oh, it's because of the movies I watched, or oh, because I did this, or the games I played, or the music I listened to, or the drugs I smoked. It's like, well, yeah, but you're forgetting that you're the equation in this.
Right.
It doesn't matter what else you do, but you're the factor.
Right.
You're the key ingredient.
The common denominator here is you.
We learned that from
you know, you could have, you know, you put the line over you, and everything else that you put above it, it's still you in the equation. Yeah.
So yeah, Steve and I were talking about that just recently about the there was a gentleman that had just basically sat home, played Grand Theft Auto, and said, I wonder what it would be like to do this in real life. And he did it in real life. He smashed into like 9 cars, basically jumped into somebody else's car, and there was a woman in there. So now he's got aggravated kidnapping, he's got aggravated assault, vandalization, all these things. And they said the only problem is what he's failing to realize is that in a video game, when you do things like that, you ultimately do get caught because it's impossible not to.
Right.
And you do spend about a minute in jail, and you come out and you have less money, and you have, you know, a reputation and a wanted, you know, thing now on you and stuff. Where now he has to not only realize the severity of his crime, but in a game, you are being punished, but it's not going to take a minute. It's going to take, you know, 2, 3, maybe 5 years of your life to, you know, restart.
For the restart button.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's the same thing again. Like right away, all these people were like, "Oh, it was the GTA did it." So it just made me laugh because it was like prime example again. Like people who were like, "Well, what does his parents think? What is like this? What was that?" But you know, no one wants to reflect on that standard anymore.
Yeah, it's like somebody saying, "Well, you know, I'm going to blame the carpenters for fixing the roof, or my kid going and getting a hammer and slamming somebody in the head with it."
Yeah, and it's like, okay.
Oh, yeah, makes perfect sense. Anyway, since our last show, I have found quite a few interesting stories that I think are amusing. The one that's in particular kind of made me cringe, but it should be mentioned because it's a story about a man in Britain who cut off his testicles an hour before he was to be married. Now, according to the New York Daily News, a British wedding was delayed after a man stormed into the church and hacked off his testicles. Of course you do that in church.
Yeah.
The self-mutilator ran into Hutton All Saints Church near Brentwood in Essex with a pair of scissors and started throwing chairs around. As the horrified vicar looked on, he then cut away his private parts just an hour before the ceremony was due to start.
Best bachelor party ever.
Yep. Where the hell was his best man? You know, where's his right hand man?
How did he get the scissors?
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, best man.
Yeah.
No problem.
Oh, you know, I'm going to do something, but I need a pair of scissors. All right, here you go. Well, thanks, best man. And away he goes. Now, the man who hasn't been identified was rushed to the hospital shortly after the horrific incident on Saturday morning. But guests arriving early at the venue were blocked from entering before the bloody mess had been cleaned up. But one man said he sneaked a peek and was shocked to see slices of genitals still lying on the floor.
You guys gonna eat that?
Wow, she's starting busting his bullocks already, one of the guests was heard saying. No, she didn't, but that was just me.
That'd be funny.
That was funny. Anyway, the guy was taken to the hospital to be treated for his injuries, which police investigators probably have led to believe were self-inflicted.
I would hope
think so, yeah. He was then referred to a mental health assessment. Now, what I love is the wedding went ahead half an hour later with the bride said to be unaware of the incident. Now, you would think that might be something the bride should know before the ceremony. Do you take this woman? I do. Do you take this man? I do. I never pronounce you husband or wife. She's like, all right, great. Let's go to the bedroom. Well, honey, there's something I got to tell you. What? I wonder if they're still married, though.
Yeah, it's true.
See, that you never get a follow-up story like that. I'd love to hear that conversation. It's like, oh, they go to the reception, they're dancing, having a good time. They're making out. They get in the car. They go to their secluded spot for their honeymoon. They get into the bedroom, and she's like all, in her nightgown, ready to.
Well, I guess you could get like what's called, an annulment. Like if it's one of those real quick, like, well, I didn't marry this.
Yeah, really.
Whatever this is. What are these scissors doing?
Wait a second. Wait, there was something here when we started this relationship. That's not there now.
Hello. What's all this then?
Hello, what's this? Well, maybe this will give him a chance to grow a pair.
Guess so. I'm a real boy.
Who's got the balls in this family? I think she does. They're in her purse.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. They picked them up and gave them to her. Well, I got to tell you, there's now a homemade drug that has shown up here in Arizona that causes severe damage to the flesh of those who use it. It was previously reported in Russia that this drug called crocodile is a disfiguring and potentially lethal mixture of codeine and hydrocarbons, such as oil, paint thinner, gasoline, or alcohol, and it's now made its way to Arizona. So look out, Arizona, a new drug for you to avoid. According to the doctors at the Banner Poison Control Center, 2 cases of the drug have been reported in the state in the past week.
Yikes.
Now, supposedly what happens is users filter and boil the drug before injecting it. Although this one guy says he thinks that users think they're moving the impurities, but they don't. Once the drug is injected, it causes damage to the blood vessels and the tissue that cause the flesh to rot from the inside out. The horrific sores that some of the users develop resemble crocodile skin, which lends the street name to the drug.
Crocodile.
Now, the average life expectancy of a crocodile user is about 3 years.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, well, no, at least you get a 3-year high out of it, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the images that I saw online were actually disgusting.
Yeah, I saw the guy had like the head and his arm.
Oh, yeah, there was another one where the arm is just like rotted away and stuff. It's, yeah. So anyway, the drug enforcement.
So what is it? Is it supposed to be like a cream that you're supposed to just use, but then people are like using that and cooking it or something? Or?
I don't know what it is. I think it's supposed to be something. It's like heroin, but a lot cheaper.
Oh, okay. So like cheaper to produce, cheaper to
Yeah,
make.
but you have to still mix it with those other things in order to get the high from it,
from it,
which is, I mean, you're injecting gasoline into your body. I mean, that's pretty bad.
Decepticons.
So you wanted to know, you said how much it cost.
I guess you could say it cost an arm and a leg.
Ooh. Well, I think anybody who takes a drug should take it while listening to Frank Zappa's album, Weasels Ripped My Flesh. Ah, good times. Now, even idiots know not to take drugs. Remember, the more you know.
Yeah, the start goes there.
One of the other good stories I found was, and here's a word of wisdom. Take it for what it's worth. If you drink and then you fall down flat on your face on your way to your car, then maybe, just maybe, you are too drunk to drive. Now here's a little story from the Gainesville Sun. There's a woman who deputies allege was so drunk one evening that she fell while leaving a TGI Fridays restaurant and struck her head in the parking lot. She was charged with DUI and battery on law enforcement officers after, while being arrested, she reportedly kicked the door of a patrol car into a deputy's knees. Now, the employees of TGI Fridays first notified law enforcement of the suspected driver around 6:25 p.m. The employees told the sheriff's office that the woman appeared intoxicated when she left the restaurant and then fell in the parking lot, resulting in a large knot on her head. Now, okay, I'm guessing, based on what they're saying, they didn't give the name of the restaurant, so I'm assuming she's leaving the TGI Fridays restaurant. So if that's the case and the employees are saying that she appeared intoxicated, I'm guessing that she was doing her drinking there and that somebody at TGI Fridays should have known how many drinks she did have.
Right.
And maybe should have said, hey, lady, you really shouldn't, they should have cut her off or they should have, called a cab for her, did something like that. But, it sounds like, oh, no, they just let her go and the way she went.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's happened more times than not because unfortunately a lot of bars feel it's easier to get them out because sometimes they might cause a stir or things. But unfortunately, yeah, like as the bars look at it, it's your responsibility to know what you're doing. Like you shouldn't be up to the world as much as we'd appreciate the world to be like, let's call you a cab and like, send you home. At least that way you can get home safely.
Yeah, you're a cab.
It's also the same aspect of, well, when are you going to take responsibility for your actions? You showed up, drank way too much. Like that was something someone told me about. Like, what's better, a $50 cab ride or a $5,000 fine to the state of Arizona for a DUI? Well, a $50 cab ride, because that way you're going to get to and from. Drink all you want, you can get sloshed or whatever, but that way you don't have to worry about any law breaking or anything like that. So
it's almost like what they should do. They should almost regulate bars that they have to have like a sobriety room, so that if they suspect somebody of drinking too much, they put them in a room and they just say, okay, hang out here until you're sober. And what they do is they call a cab for them. And then the cab comes and goes, here, you got to go with him. But still, you're going to get those belligerent drunks.
I'm fine. I can drive just fine.
I flew here.
Just give me my keys and I'll float over to my car because I'm flying like a weed. Over here flying. No, you're not.
Sir, I'm over here.
Okay, sorry. I was talking to the wood statue here.
Sir, that's a urinal. Those urinal cakes, don't eat them.
Oh, but they're delicious. Especially the yellow ones.
That's crazy. Yeah, so they probably overserved her to the point where she was drunk, and once they saw her fall, they said, all right, we got to call her. Well, at least they did that much, because you figure if they had said nothing,
she
could have came back and said, hey, I got all this because of you guys. And
it was bad enough, I guess, because when the cops finally showed up, they spotted her driving, all over the road. She was in the bike lane twice. She didn't have her headlights on in the rain, which is the law in Florida. For those of you who go to Florida, once the rain starts, you have to put your lights on. It's the law. And so remember that if you drive drunk in Florida. When the woman was pulled over, the deputy reported that she was uneasy on her feet, had bloodshot eyes, droopy eyelids, and smelled of alcohol.
I don't smell like roses.
So that's why you shouldn't drink, fall down, and drive.
I guess she said she also asked the deputy to arrest her.
Yeah.
Please arrest me. Ma'am, I really can't do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Come on, chicken. All right. She asked for it. Why are you arresting me?
I think it's now time to take a break and scroll back through memory lane and play you guys a little song that I happen to find rather nicely. So we'll go back. Here is a song that seldom, if ever, gets any play on the radio. It's from the Clockwork Orange soundtrack album, and to be honest, I don't even think it was in the movie. I don't ever remember hearing it, but this song has special meaning to me. And the reason why it does is because back in the day when there were 8-track tapes, the way 8-track tapes work is there was one tape that was basically glued to the end of another tape by a metal strip. And what would happen is when you put that in on that one piece of tape, you had 4 areas to record on. So what would happen is when the metal strip came across the player's head, it knew to drop the player, the play head basically down a notch. So when you first put it in, you're on track 1. When it hit that little thing, it would drop down to track 2, so on and so forth. Well, if you wanted to have a decent sounding tape, basically what you had to do is if you had like an hour, say you had an hour's worth of tape, you basically really only had 4 15-minute sections. So what you had to do is you had to figure out how many songs you could get into that 15-minute track before it would hit that thing and then go to the next one. So sometimes you'd have to fade out a song and fade one back in. And a lot of people used to do that. If you bought like a store-bought one, they would, there'd be like some song where a guy's like jamming out like crazy and going, oh, this is great. And then they would fade it out, have it hit the thing, and then fade it back. And it's like, no, you ruined the whole song by doing that. So what would happen is this little song I found one time, and, of course, being in college and stuff like that, everybody's into the rock and roll. And I threw this on, and my friends, when they heard it, they would just laugh their ass off. It was only like a minute long, but it was perfect because if you had like a minute left to go,
you could throw it on.
You could throw it on there, and you wouldn't have like a minute of dead space waiting for the thing to go. Now, to be honest, what would happen is we used to do this like religiously, make our tapes so that there wouldn't be any carryover, and then eventually we all just got so lazy that you would just record a song you wanted, and be going na 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 na, click na 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 na. We wouldn't even bother fading it out anymore. We just hit that thing and go. So anyway, this little ditty is called "I Want to Marry a Lighthouse Keeper," and it's by Erica Egan. Hit it.
I want to marry a lighthouse keeper and keep him company. I want to marry a lighthouse keeper and live by the side of the sea. I'll polish his lamps by the light of day so the ships at night can find their way. I want to marry a lighthouse keeper, won't that be okay? We'll take walks along the moonlit bay, maybe find a treasure too. I'd love living in a lighthouse. I dream of living in a lighthouse, baby, every single day. I dream of living in a lighthouse, a white one by the bay. So if you want to make my dreams come true, be a lighthouse keeper, do. We could live in a lighthouse, a white one by the bay. Won't that be okay?
So that was "I'm Gonna Marry a Lighthouse Keeper." Now, if you want to go to YouTube and see a really crappy video for this song that somebody put together for some reason, I have no idea what it even. It's obviously somebody did this either consciously or unconsciously when they were messed up, but it's on YouTube.com/watch question. Well, we'll just put it on the website. Anyway, just search for "I Want to Marry a Lighthouse Keeper" and you'll find the YouTube video for it.
Yeah, YouTube.com / it's like pumpernickel sandwich.
Yeah, pumpernickel sandwich. Hyphen, hashtag.
Oh God, I hate my life.
Yeah. Volume negative life type thing. Yeah.
/ banana.
Yep. And it's a / banana that does it all the time.
See, I thought it would be great. It's like that song, like you put a nice jam together, you invite a girl, you're making out like in the car, and then that song comes on like out of nowhere.
There's another story I found on onefunny.com, and this is the one I was telling you guys before. It just makes me laugh so hard. There's a guy who wanted to rob a bank so he goes into Bank of America, grabs one of their deposit slips, and writes on it, "This is IZ, a stick-up, STIKKUP." And then it says, "Put all your money, MUNY, in this bag." While he's standing in line. So he's standing in line, he's writing up his stick-up note. And then he starts thinking, well, maybe the people around him saw him write that. I might call the police. So he says, okay, I'm just going to leave. So he leaves the bank, and as he steps out of the bank, he notices that there's a Wells Fargo right across the street, and he goes, that's great. So he goes over to Wells Fargo, gets in another line, waits until he gets up to the teller, and then he hands the teller the note.
At least he was polite.
Yeah, he didn't just bust in, he did,
Guns a-blazing.
So the teller from Wells Fargo, she takes it and she's reading it, and so she's looking at the guy and she's saying, because of his spelling errors and this and that, he's not the brightest light in the harbor. So she goes, you know what, sir, I can't accept this note because it was written on a Bank of America deposit slip, and that you would either have to fill out one on a Wells Fargo deposit slip or go back to Bank of America. So the guy was like, all right. So he actually...
Well, you do what you can.
So the man actually says okay and leaves.
Okay.
So the teller watches, and the guy goes, sure enough, the guy goes right up, crosses the street, right back to Bank of America.
And he's probably sitting there going like, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's probably going, yeah, that's right. Why would they take somebody else's bank slip? So she calls the police, and sure enough, the cops show up, and the guy's standing in line when they arrest him with the stick-up, though. And it's just like, God allow him. I mean,
because you can tell that there was some rationale there for him to realize, like, oh, someone probably saw me write this. So you can tell that there's something
right.
working
Yeah, like
there.
Something like, oh yeah.
And then the woman to even say that and him not be like, Like, no, you're going to do this now,
Right.
or else I'm going to.
Because it doesn't matter what kind of piece of paper it's written
Yeah.
on. It's still a stick-up note.
So then, but the logic of like, well, it's true.
Well,
it's
yeah,
not.
that's right. It's a Bank of America one. They can't accept that.
You're so correct. I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bother you. Sorry to be a bother. I like your branch, though.
Thanks for being so polite.
Well, this is a good story, too. There's a 45-year-old woman who was arrested in San Antonio, Texas, after a mechanic reported to police that 18 packages of marijuana were packed in the engine compartment of the car, which she had brought to the mechanic for an oil change. According to police, the woman later said that she didn't realize that the mechanic would have to raise the hood to change the oil. Now, ladies, if you're listening, take an auto course, just on general maintenance alone. Find out where those fluids are and how to change them yourself. Now, this was a 33-year-old man was arrested recently in Providence, Rhode Island, after allegedly knocking out an armored car driver and then stealing the closest 4 bags of money that he could grab. Unfortunately, it turned out that they contained $800 in pennies and weighed 30 pounds each.
Jesus.
So the guy grabs him and starts running away, but he can't run, so he's staggering. So by the time he gets about a half a block, the police just come up behind him and tackle him and arrest him.
Oh, man. Well, I know if the lady was smart, she would have put them in her headlights, because then they would be called her high beams.
High beams? What the hell?
Because the weed.
Oh,
Put the weed in the headlights because it was high beams.
High beams, yeah.
800 in pennies.
You're like a story. Yeah, $800.
Well, I was going to say it, but then
okay,
like, we
it's
jumped
bad enough that you're stealing, but I mean,
Hey, I don't need this abuse. I'll just go to Wells Fargo.
Yeah. Well, no, Wells Fargo will treat you right. They'll guide you.
Yeah,
Wells Fargo will actually guide you to make the right choice.
I feel bad that the guy got knocked out though, because those guys are pretty much like you can't even go up to them.
I know.
I walked by one time. The guy already had his hand ready to go, and I was just like, I'm just gonna go shop here.
Yeah,
like, don't shoot me. But they're so like jumping at
Oh
me.
yeah. Well, especially after the one guy got killed.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened here.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
AMC
Theater. Yeah. They still haven't caught that guy either.
Yeah. They suspect though that he's in like Mexico.
Yeah.
Like under an alias. We always see it like pop up on like those ID channels.
Yeah.
They're talking about like the mystery of like where these people go disappear.
Where did this guy go?
Where is Waldo?
Well, that's like who's that guy? Bobby Fischer?
Yeah.
The guy who killed his family and then he was like a survivalist and just disappeared.
Yeah.
Maybe he went to
Wells.
he went to work at Wells Fargo. He's a teller now, telling people about. Sorry, it's not another thing.
I think that's the guy.
There's an old saying that if you defend yourself in court, then you have a fool for a lawyer. Well, an Oklahoma City man seems to be the proof of that. There's a guy in Oklahoma City that was on trial for the armed robbery of a convenience store, and when he fired his public defender lawyer. Now, the assistant district attorney said the 47-year-old man was actually doing a very good job of defending himself until the store manager testified and pointed him out as the man who was the robber. The guy jumps up and accused the woman of lying and then said, quote, "I should have blown your fucking head off." Then the defendant paused and quickly added, "If I'd been the one that was there." So the jury took like 20 minutes to convict the man, and they recommended a 30-year sentence.
Well, he did it well so far.
Yeah, so not too bad.
I should have killed you when I had the chance.
That's
what I would have said.
If I had been the guy that... I'd be glad to be in court near that. Oh, jeez.
So good.
That's why this is called the idiot section, because believe me, there's no shortage of material. Now, one of the other things, everybody, whether if you're out there and you're drinking or you're getting high, please don't tweet, don't Facebook, don't do anything like that. And even if you're a grumpy old lady, don't do that, because you have to be careful what you post online. You just might prove you are the jerk people believe you already are. Now, I guess the other day there was information about Martha Stewart went on a Twitter rant this week when she dropped her iPad that Steve Jobs gave her and asked when Apple was going to send someone to pick it up and fix it. Now these are some of the tweets. Now the first tweet was at like 3:45 in the afternoon on the 25th of September. She goes, "I just dropped my iPad on the ground and shattered 2 glass corners. What to do? Does one call Apple to come and pick it up, or do I take it?" Okay, so she does that. Now the second tweet is the next day at like almost 5:50 in the morning. She goes, "I am still waiting for an Apple rep to come pick up my iPad. No action yet." Then she sends out a third tweet later that day at like 10:30. She goes, maybe I have a good entrepreneurial idea. Apple now, like same-day delivery from Amazon. I think I am onto something. Same-day fix it. So by the fourth tweet, she realizes that no one is coming. So at 3:30 that afternoon, she goes, "So it is time to put out the fires and admit I was just pissed off at the fact that my precious iPad shattered, and I wanted to make light of it." Okay, so at that point, I guess she realized what a jerk she was, and she was trying to apologize for her other tweets. So, like, in one of her tweets, she does mention that Steve Jobs had given her the iPad. So I'm thinking, holy shit, a free iPad, and she is complaining? At no point in time did it occur to her that maybe she should drag her butt over to an Apple store, just like the rest of us, to get it fixed. What I love is that she mentions that Steve Jobs gave her this iPad as if it now has some mystical powers from the recently deceased Steve Jobs that would clairvoyantly let Apple know when it needed to help or fixing.
I keep his spirit in here.
Yeah, maybe she confused it with North Star. You know, on oh hi, Mrs. Stewart. Did you have an accident? Do you need Apple help right away? You know, now supposedly she's fairly tech savvy. But, you know, WTF, when her dishwasher breaks, does she expect Maytag to mysteriously show up to fix it?
The Maytag monsters.
Yeah, when she runs out of toilet paper, do the bears from the Cottonelle commercials show up with cases of this stuff? And announcing it on Twitter, does she think that Apple monitors everyone's Twitter account so when an iPad is damaged, they can send out the iPad squad?
Quick, Martha Stewart is down.
You know, maybe if she bought her own damn iPad, she'd take better care of it.
It's true. That's weird, yeah, because I know they just had Kanye like go on a rant, and Jimmy Kimmel like did the best thing where he just read them on his show.
Oh, right.
He just stood there and was like, "All right, like I don't know what that means, but like keep going." And
yeah,
it was beautiful too, because like after Lindsay and I were talking about it, like he had 2 children reenact like his tweets, like what he was saying on this interview about how he's like the greatest and blah blah. And all Jimmy Kimmel was pointing out is like, well, if you're so great, why aren't your fans like shouting out about how great you are? Why is it always you that's telling everyone how great you are? So of course, when the kids are doing it, it made sense because it sounds like, oh, you sound like a whiny kid, so why not have 2 kids portray your behavior? And then of course, like when he's just giving it on to like Jimmy Kimmel, like Kimmel like played it great. Like he's like Kanye says something like, Sarah Silverman's such a better like comedian than you are, and he goes, I guarantee, yeah, I agree. Like you're not speaking anything I don't already know there, buddy. And like this was really good about zinging him because it was just like, whatever, man. Like tomorrow people are gonna know what you are, and they're gonna know what I am. Like it's not a big deal to me to do this. So that's kind of interesting how a lot of people are saying that, like the tweet rants and how like it does more harm than good a lot of times, unless it's something like major, unless it's something like, you know, hurricane victims or things that we're trying to get messages out and news out. But a lot of times when these people get on there are just so self-absorbed that they're just like, yeah, Apple, please come to my rescue. When it's just like any normal, rational person would know to be like, well, this sucked today. Like, I broke it. Yeah. Off to the Apple store.
Right.
Like,
well, it's just that, I mean, she's tweeting out to all these people. Now, I guarantee some of her followers probably responded and said, oh, just take it to Apple and they'll fix it for you. But does she bother to read what anybody else might tell her? No. Probably not, because otherwise somebody would have said, oh, if you do that, bring it to the Apple store. They'll back it up for you. They'll give you a new one, you know, whatever.
She was waiting for @iApp, like iApple or something like that to get back to her. Like, well, that's not your Twitter handle. I'm not gonna read it. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
Oh, well. It's, you know, unfortunately you have a lot of these celebrities that get to the point where they think they're so important, above everything else and above everyone else that they
still wipe their ass just like us. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
They just have a gold monkey that does it for
Except them. I use flushable toys, moist wipes.
Ooh. Although sponsored by.
Although I did read, no, sponsored by it. Moist flushable wipes for that clean feeling. But I read an article about those too. That not they say that they're flushable, but a lot of them aren't.
No,
and a lot of them are clogging the sewer systems throughout
you
the
have
country.
to read them real quick. They're like that was like the one thing I saw. Lindsay and I go to the store and we're like really trying to watch our calories and read things when they say like what's in them and make sure they're not like all made up of stuff. And one that was like 100% juice, and you turn it over, and right under that, like in very small letters, contains 21% juice. And then, like, so Lindsay starts laughing. I'm like, no, you don't get it. That 21% juice is 100% of juice.
Yeah, it's
that is
juice
all
fat.
juice. That is all juice. That 21%.
That's what they're teaching in school now. Now 100% juice is 20%. So make that thing.
It's so bad because like a lot of them do that. They're like 100% juice.
So basically, if you use that kind of math in school, if you get 20% on your test, you actually got 100. You got an A. Yay! Oh, that's great. So they give you 5 questions, you get 1 right, you get 100.
100% to everyone.
Yeah, that's great.
May contain idiots.
May contain miscalculated.
May actually be an English exam.
Yeah. Well, not this may actually be in English. Well, since our last show, which seems ages ago, these are some of the free movies and shows that I've watched. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I watched Nurse Jackie with Mrs. Soprano, Edie Falco, seasons 1 through 4. Now, she is really funny and great. But this past season, this guy, he was on, I don't know if you watch Boardwalk Empire, but he was also Will. Remember Will and Grace?
Oh, right.
That show, he was Will's boyfriend.
Right.
Bobby Cannavale. And he came on the season to play a new administrator sent by the conglomerate that buys the floundering All Saints Hospital to make it more profitable. And his real-life son was actually in the show, too. But he died of an overdose at the end of season 4. Not in real life, but just on the show. But the girl from Jackie's, there's another woman, Merritt Weaver. She recently won the Emmy for...
right.
She was the one who's they are saying had the best accepted speech ever. Thank you, bye, I gotta go. She plays Zoe Barco, the new nurse assigned to Jackie. Now the first season, your mom and I weren't too sure of her, but after she kind of grows up, she's actually really
kind of like
funny.
At first you're like, I don't know about this character.
Yeah, but her character is really good. I mean, she's like this, She kind of reminds us of Erin, like, oh, la-di-da type, everybody, yeah. Oh, you need a hug type of a thing. It's like, get away, somebody just died. Oh, you got to be happy. Then I also watched Boardwalk Empire, season 3. Oh, so good. The show made I think it's basically just a Sopranos prequel.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's early Sopranos.
And actually, when I had lunch with Gary the other day, he told me that the director and the writer did the Sopranos, so that's probably why it's just a lot like it. Now, in season 3, lots of people get whacked. I mean, there are people getting killed left, right, and center. I mean, every show, at least 1 or 2 people get killed. Now, once again, my favorite character was this guy was Gyp Rossetti, who was also played by Bobby Cannavale, who is also on Nurse Jackie now. And he actually got the Emmy for the Best Supporting Actor for that performance, and it was well-deserved. When you first saw him, it was like, okay, maybe this guy's just a little weird, but then you realized how wacky this guy is. So every scene that he's in, it's like you don't know what the hell he's going to do because he's like, he's like a firecracker ready to go off.
Oh, wow.
But that was really good. Now, other people in the show this season that were great were Stephen Root. Now, he was a guy who played Milton in Office Space. And he was also on, I think, what is it? That radio show or something?
Oh, yeah.
But he plays this guy called Gaston Bullock Means. And he's a con artist, FBI agent, and a fixer for the bootleggers. Now, General Zod from the Super Guy movie was also in this.
Michael Shannon. Been in that. He's like a detective in the show, right? He's like a cop.
Well, actually, he's a former Prohibition agent on the run after the murder of his former partner.
I should have known.
And he's traveling under the alias George Muller, but he inadvertently gets caught up in the conflict between Dean O'Banion and Al Capone. Ooh. Now, I recently saw Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh, yeah?
Now, I got to tell you, half the movie, I swear to God, is people running. If you watch the damn thing, all they do is run through the ship. They run on the planet. They're running on Earth. They're running, from one ship to the other.
Gotta have that cardio.
It's like, well, that's what I'm saying. If that's what the future holds, you better lace up and get used to running now, because that's all they do in the future is run. There was another weird movie I saw called Safety Not Guaranteed. Now there's the guy, I forget what his name is, but he's the guy from the Zooey Deschanel show, New Girl, I guess. Basically, what this is about is it's about a girl who's kind of like out of sorts. She has a hard time fitting in, and just because her mom died when she was 14, so she's been
Just has,
like in a funk ever since
something.
then. So she becomes an intern at this magazine, and so she's sitting in a meeting, and they're coming around, and they say, okay, how about an idea for a story? Let's do a story. So the guy from Zooey Deschanel says, oh, there's a advertisement in the newspaper saying that wanted person to go back in time with me must have their own weapons and safety not guaranteed. Where's the name of the movie came? And the guy goes, I'd like to check out this guy and see what he's up to and this and that. So basically it's a whole idea about them trying to find out who he is, trying to cozy up to him, try to get his confidence and find out what exactly his deal is and this and that. And so they go through, and at one point he actually breaks into a place to steal like lasers and stuff.
Wow.
And so the girl who's with him goes, oh my God, now I'm an accomplice. I'm like a criminal for this thing. And but the end result is he really does create some kind of machine, because they run down to the boat to see where he is, and he's got this huge thing set up, and all of a sudden it just goes, and it was really, and that's how it ends.
Kind of like a shot.
Yeah, it's kind of
like,
cool.
was it real?
It was quirky enough, but it was pretty fun.
Like that. That was like that one that was a while back. They had with what's his name, Kevin Spacey, where it was like Quarks or something like that, where he was like an alien, but you weren't sure if he was an alien because like they didn't know if he was just like this guy who was insane, or if he was like from outer space or something like that. So that's kind of like those movies where you're not sure, but it kind of builds.
Builds and stuff. Well, supposedly that new one with Hugh Jackman's supposed to be like a lot of twists and terms. I haven't seen that. Have you seen that?
No, but I read the. I just read Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I save $8 and I just read Wikipedia.
And they tell you everything.
Yeah, because you're just like, oh, okay.
You can envision. Oh wow, good. Well done to you.
Yeah. Oh, Wolverine.
Yeah, so Wolverine.
That's what happens. You start reading something, and it's like Hugh Jackman plays a father. He also played this, and you're like, oh, what's this? And then
Wolverine. You're off.
Your movie changes. It's called The Prisoner, but then you're like, oh yeah. Then he like kills Magneto, and you're like, what are you talking about?
It's the end of the world.
Then you get people to go, oh, I want to go see that movie.
Singing and listening.
He sings a whole number about the repression of
I can't help these things coming out of my
arm. Like a great movie, and then they go see it.
I want a cigar and have my hair wear. Oh, well, back to the other thing I did was, as we talked about earlier, was a new CD from Bare Naked Ladies called Grinning Streak. They're actually, when I saw them in Wild Horse Pass, which is down here in the Great Southwest, they are really fun to watch, and you can tell that they love what they do, and I would definitely see them again. This is actually the first concert I've been here in Phoenix where people actually get into the performances. Now, they wrote the theme song for The Big Bang Theory, and they always play that song in its entirety, the whole thing. Now, some of my favorite songs from the CD are like Limits, Boomerang, Gonna Walk, Keeping It Real, Best Damn Friend. And to be honest, I do like them all, but when time is short, I usually dial up those songs and play them. Now, what was cool is, I think it was Gonna Walk was... what they did is they came out it was like the third song. He goes, look, I know it's early in the concert, but I want everybody to kind of participate in the song. I'm going to sing this. I want you to sing it back to me. Then I'll sing this. You sing it back to me. And sure enough, everybody was singing along like it was nothing. And then later on, they start doing some of their hits and stuff. And one of their big hits is If I Had $1 Million. Now, the guy who used to be in there, Stephen Page, Ed Robertson, who's the other lead in there, he would sing the first part, If I Had $1 Million, and Steve Page would say, If I Had $1 Million. So they go on stage and they start singing it, and without even asking the audience,
they just jump in.
Everybody's jumping in, and they're saying, and it's so great because everybody's doing it. They know the words, they know this and that. And at one point, what's really cool is there's a thing. It says, If I had $1 million, I would buy you a monkey, and then the sound, haven't you always wanted a monkey? And with that, people who know the group, who love the group, they bring stuffed monkeys and they throw them on the stage during that. And the guys pick them up, they start playing with them, they're throwing them back and forth. It's just
the
so
energy
much.
Is like
the energy is so much fun. It's like while I was watching, they're singing and this and that, and they go over to the stage and they lean over and they're singing, and people are taking pictures, so they're like smiling. And this one, it was great because I could see it because we were in the balcony. This one girl, he was just singing on a microphone, and this one girl was standing with her back to the stage, back to him, and looking at the guy taking a picture because he or she wanted a picture of her,
Right, with
with him in the
yeah.
background. So the guy's singing, and while the song, he sees the girl standing there, and so he looks to the one taking the picture, and he puts his mouth like, shh, don't.
Yeah.
He comes right over to the end of the stage, wraps his hand around her face. You could just barely see her eyes, and smiles, and she takes the picture. And it was just so great. I mean, to be that cool to be able to do something like that, it was just a great audience participation. I mean, it's really a
refreshing
fun
when you
concert
actually go to a concert and people there to enjoy the music.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to like the last time I went, like your mom and I went to see Ray Davies from the Kinks. Kinks are a great band, and he did a lot of their songs and this and that, and people just, come on, sing along, get into it,
pacemaker.
do some of this stuff, and it was just like,
Yeah, you get those people who are just so burned out from.
But anyway, it was a great concert. I really dig the album a lot. I like it a lot more than the last album they came out with, which was Out Stephen Page. But they're really, you could tell they're really back into writing some good quirky stuff.
Yeah.
So
from what you showed us and let us listen to, I thought it was pretty good.
So tomorrow, Breaking Bad finality is right.
Finalities, finals.
OMG,
Finals.
Heisenberg on the way back to New Mex. Jesse is still being a little bitch. Saul is now working at the Gap store in Nebraska.
That was great.
Mike, Gus, and Hank are still dead. Although Hank has moved on to the Dome, Gus is a badass on horseback in Revolution, Mike is unemployed, and Marie has already moved on. She's marrying Michael J. Fox on his new show.
Yeah. And it was cool because I was listening to Gillian talk about the show on other channels and how he's a big fan of like Sopranos and things like that, and like how are we gonna end it? And he says it was great because him and Jesse, Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul actually read the last scene together.
Yeah,
they read and then they both stopped and looked at each other like, wow, that's the last time we're ever gonna do a read through.
Right.
And this is it. And like you can tell that they were really much like, blown away by it. And I think it's great because all the theories going out, like they were on Conan. And someone had talked to them about the theory of him being like Malcolm in the Middle.
Right.
And he's like, I think it's great, like all the different theories people come up with.
Yeah.
One person even went as far as to say like colors and like the words or like the titles to a lot of his shows are clues to the series or clues to things.
Right.
So one of the clues is that Marie has always been in purple.
Right.
And then, of course, they say the purple in some aspects is color of protection. It always means like she was always protected. She was always like the virtuous, the right. She might have been crazy or like a thief or klepto, but she was still always pure. She always stuck by her thing. And they said, and if you really look at the big picture of it, the only one who's really lost everything is her. She lost her sister.
Right.
She lost her husband. She's lost like a lot of things. And they said that if you notice it, I think what it looks like is she's on her way back from the funeral.
Right.
When she's in the car and they realize they've been broken into and they get her out of there, like get her out and they storm the place. So like then she's in black. And so that's when they're thinking, like, is there going to be something with that, like, where she'll be the one to, like, end everything?
Whack everybody,
because she'll be the one who's, like, takes Walt out.
Right.
Because she already had admitted that she would want him dead anyways because of what he's done to, her family and everything. So it's neat. Like, I love seeing all the theories. Like, I love this. Someone put together a Lego Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And it shows them building, like, the meth together, and it's, like, the Jesse character. And, I think it's really cool how people are really coming along. And then Hank had a good theory. He would love to see, like, at the end of everything, just Hank's hand come out of the dirt, like Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
A bad batch of meth that started the whole Walking Dead.
Oh, that would be fun. That would actually be pretty funny.
He had some really cool theories, too.
Well, what was cool is when I was doing some research on the thing, they the last show where it shows the two founders of the group.
Oh, right, and they're saying, like, he didn't do anything. And
he was never, he just came up with gray matter. Yeah. Where that came from, there was actually a fan of the Breaking Bad show. He was a 16-year-old kid, but he was dying of cancer. And what he did is he was like their number one fan. He kept writing him. He kept, I love this, I love that. So Vince Gilligan and he actually suggested, he goes, well, whatever happened to those two? Why, how come they aren't even in the show anymore? So they go, oh yeah, great idea. So they brought him in. I think the kid, I don't know if he had a cameo or not, but it shows a picture of him with Bryan Cranston and Jesse and Saul and and Vince Gilligan. They all came in, And the Vince said, "Oh, do you want to know how it ends?" I said, "Because your time is short." He goes, "No, I'm gonna make sure I wait." But he didn't make it.
Oh no!
But still, it was a tribute. Basically, that little piece. They said they incorporated something that he had suggested actually in the show.
Because
and I said,
of that kid. Wow, that's really amazing.
I said, "No, that's pretty cool." That they would even do something like that. Now, AMC is trying to replicate a badass show with Low Winter Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I checked out the first few episodes, and to be honest, I couldn't stand it.
Yeah,
Did you?
Well, I'm still watching it. Like I get where they're going with it, and I'm kind of like I've given it like this last episode really kind of like fleshed things out, and it's really like when they finally fleshed out this last episode, I really was like, oh, okay, I get what they're doing here. So what they're doing is basically. The African American character who's like his partner, or like kind of becomes.
He was actually in Walking Dead.
He was too. Like there are a lot of people. There was the guy from Damages. He was the guy.
Oh yeah. He was actually.
He was the first cook
the guy
Walton.
Breaking Bad. Jesse killed him.
Jesse kills that guy. He's in it. They have Mark Strong, of course, from a lot of things. And then they had the way they ended it was like the African American character brings the other cop and him because they both like are in on the murder or whatever. They're out on a boat, and he's basically telling him, he's like, "Do you think a cop's salary bought me this boat? It's $30,000 boat." He's like, sometimes your virtues get. He's like, you go through your whole life trying to be good, and it gets you nowhere. He's like, but the moment you turn a blind eye or, go down the wrong street, look what it comes out. Like, I got a home paid off. I got this paid off. So what's interesting is you start to see Mark Strong's character is like the cop, the straight and narrow. He made one mistake because of love or whatever. Like, they're trying to still flesh that out. But you can start to see where now he's starting to see, like, the other side of the coin where, man, you're right. Like, now you got money in your pocket. Now you got, authority. Now you got, like, people fear you.
Yeah, people are afraid of you. You got a little power and stuff. Yeah.
I think it's kind of neat, like how you can start to see kind of like the fall of a character that you could tell he was good, and now you can kind of see like, oh, he's starting to kind of do that. So that's where
like Breaking Bad. That's what happened to Walt too. Yeah,
but I do feel like the pacing on the show is really just kind of like, seriously, like, come on, guys, you could like. They wrapped up some things already, but some of it is still just kind of like it's kind of got that.
Yeah, I found there were too many people, like the young people that had gotten the cocaine and so. I mean, to me, I checked out the first few episodes. I really couldn't stand it. And I didn't like a single person on the show.
Well, it's based out of Detroit too, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it also makes it like that.
well, they said that actually was a blessing in disguise that it was based out of Detroit, because Detroit at the same time just went to bankruptcy.
And now they're getting
all the shit's coming. Yeah, so it's like all this.
Well, they said the same thing about Michigan. The Superman, Man of Steel 2. They're using Detroit and Michigan as like the drop setting.
Right.
And they said it's actually going to bring a lot of tourism, a lot of boost to their economy because of it. They said do you think of Gotham? He goes, I think of Detroit. So Zack Snyder is going to use that as like his backdrop of like the rundown Gotham.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be great because it's really going to push a lot of people to be like, oh yeah, like he's really going to focus in on sites that make Detroit great, and really push people to be like, oh yeah, that's really cool. So that should be interesting.
Yeah. But as far as Low Winter Sun, I usually like Mark Strong and his other things like Sherlock Holmes. He was good. Rock and Roll. I thought he was great.
All his he's been in another one by Guy Pearce. If you can find it, it's called Revolver.
Yeah.
It's got him in it where he plays kind of like this quirky shooter, where he's a guy like a sharpshooter, but you can see like I never miss. And he's got like this funny like little accent. Yeah. He's kind of balding. Like he's like really good in that because like that's the same kind of thing. It's also got what's his name? Jason Statham. He's the lead in it. It's got a whole bunch of other characters in it from his other movies. So like if you can find that one, like him in that other movie is very well as well. But yeah, I felt the same. Like they're kind of still fleshing it out, and I'm still giving it a shot because obviously it's just on after.
Right, yeah.
So I just recorded and say, okay, whatever, But yeah, I've been kind of like, I'm on the fence. I don't think I like enjoy it, but I'm just kind of seeing where they're going still.
Yeah.
And that's I think where they're doing too. They're really not sure what they're doing either. They're just kind of like,
making it up as they go along.
We'll get there.
I just didn't care for his character on the show. So Now, did you guys watch The Shield? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's supposed to be like the Marvel thing.
I missed it.
Oh, God. I don't know about you. I watched the first show, and your mom and mom's like, well, you want to give it another shot? I says, I was all set to give it. Okay, what happened? First of all, they bring the guy back who got killed.
I don't get at all. Like, do they explain that, or are they just kind of like
they hint at it? They hint that supposedly this guy was recovered and he went to Tahiti and he spent time there to recover and get better.
He got stabbed through the chest and died.
Okay. Well, okay, bear with me. So anyway, at one point he goes off and this one guy from Barney Miller, who Ron, what the hell's his last name? Ron, somebody or other, and this other chick. They're talking, and she goes, "He has no idea about Tahiti," and he goes, "No, he doesn't." He goes, "But that's hopefully he never will." So obviously they manufactured
He's like
him
a clone or something.
clone, yeah, some. So it was like,
makes more sense.
all right, fine, here we go. So now we got this little intrigue, and then they have all these. One of the reviews I read is, you're going to have all these young, hot people on the show to generate stuff. So then anyway, but
none of them have superpowers. Like they're all just like people.
Yeah, they're all just people.
So who gives a crap?
Well, they're recruiting like other people, or they're trying to find.
I'm sorry, but you had a whole boat full of people that crashed, but no one gave a shit.
Yeah,
you didn't have the Hulk. You don't have.
Well, supposedly what it was is the mess in New York City where they cleaned that up.
They're the cleanup.
They cleaned it up, or what they do is they go out. Now, supposedly there's another group called Centipede. And what they're doing is they're trying to get a super army together. So what happens is they get volunteers like homeless people and stuff, and they put this thing in their arm that's about this big, and it looks like a centipede, and it's all like in, and it ejects in. And the last show, I guess, if somebody got too pissed off, they exploded, and it blew up like the building. You saw that?
I'm angry now.
Is your mic on?
Centipede.
Yeah, actually, no. The problem is you never saw Iron Man 3.
No, I didn't.
You have no idea.
That whole
yes, it's that serum that was in Iron Man 3, so when they get angry, they become their own nuclear weapon, basically.
I'm surprised they went with Centipede and not Hydra, because Hydra from from World War II with Captain America is still supposed to be like this.
I think they're trying to build on all that stuff. Like, I know, obviously, Dad didn't like it. I thought it was actually very well done. I think it's a good job of them doing, basically, they are giving you this, and then boom, Thor movie comes out.
Kind of
and then next season,
then
it's like, oh, you watch.
So it's keeping the Marvel franchise alive.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Like Arrow, probably, right? Like how Arrow's introducing all these other sub characters.
Yeah, and then they're going to spin off. But I think what they're trying to do, because they look like they're going to have maybe some superheroes in this. It's all normal people, but it's only just based on S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. But we were talking about, we don't know. They could do cameos because Disney does own ABC and all this kind of stuff. So,
Robert Downey
but they did already they mentioned Stark plenty of times in it. And
yeah,
stuff
they
like
did.
that. So it's like
that's part of that universe too. So that makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Like,
okay, so maybe that's it. Maybe because I don't have that point of reference. But still, to me, it was like, okay.
For me, that was the thing I kept saying all along. Whenever they showed the S.H.I.E.L.D. thing, I'm like, but he's dead. Like that's all I kept saying.
Yeah, but they did say, like he said, they faked his death just to give the Avengers something to fight for.
But see, that would piss me off if I was an Avenger and I came back and I'm like, but this guy's still
alive.
One guy mentioned that he might be Vision.
Yeah, they were talking about that for a while though. That he would be like the Vision.
He had a twin.
Character.
They call him Double Vision.
He had Double Vision.
But
anyway, so to me the whole thing. To me, the whole thing was
the series.
Okay, the guy gets in the car. I mean, he's got the car of my dreams. That is the car of my dreams.
To be honest, that was the only part I thought that was corny.
Okay, that was cool. So he gets in like
that's corny.
He gets into a '58 Corvette, which is the car of my dreams, basically. And so the girl goes, oh, well, there's no way you'll ever get to the airport in 10 minutes. He goes, oh, yeah. And all of a sudden the thing turns into a flying car, and it's like, all right, that's it. I'm done. Thank you. Check, please. I'm God. So I wasn't even going to give it another shot. There was another show I saw that
You'll never eat breakfast in time. Oh, really?
Yeah,
everything transfers.
Yeah, we were right there. Oh, here's your Cheerios. Yeah, that was just like, I can't do it.
That's hilarious.
Then it was funny. We were watching like an old rerun of Big Bang Theory, and your mom and I are of the opinion that like the Big Bang Theory, How I Met Your Mother, maybe even this show, it's like, okay, it's no longer really geared to our demographic.
Yeah, and I do agree, like, especially How I Met Your Mother.
It's just not,
I mean, How You Met Your Mother, it's like 8 seasons, and you're finally meeting the mother. Like, it's like, seriously, how did you make it 8 seasons without revealing, like, the mother? Like, how did you do that? But it's because they are just tailored to that, little new
that
audience.
Friends type of
exactly. People
atmosphere.
enjoy the show so much, you lose sight of what the show is.
It's right. I was supposed to be in the mother. I'm just going to tweet life.
That's I love that idea about S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like, just when you think, like, all right,
maybe I'll stay. Oh, there we go. You just lost me.
I was like, Lindsay and I were watching just very little bit of the second episode of, what was it?
Roads?
Hollow.
We don't need roads.
Yeah, exactly. Where we're going. What was that one? Sleepy Hollow, the second episode. We watched just a bit of it, and so like we had cut to something else and came back. And Ichabod Crane has that like lantern again. I'm like, seriously, like you've obviously been revealed that you're in modern times. Like you have the stupid
yeah. That's another show I'm kind of like sitting on the fence for.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was like the first show, I got it, and then I was like, well, how are you going to wrap it? And now it's like the annihilation of the Earth. It's like, oh god. Yeah. So you're bringing somebody back that's over like what 300 years old or something like that.
Right, perfect choice.
Perfect choice. Yeah, let's bring back somebody and then it's like, okay, well now they're bringing in. Now there's the 4 horsemen, and there's all these other demons, and then there's this witch that they brought back, and it's like, oh.
And
man.
it reminds me a lot of like
just
it's like Supernatural, but it's like I thought they were going to just do the Sleepy Hollow.
Right.
And I thought, oh, that's cool. Like that'd be kind of a cool modern take on it, like a modern Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
But like they didn't. They like brought all this stuff back from before, and it was just kind of like, well, this doesn't really. And then like what always made me laugh is like the stupid Disney cartoon with the Ichabod. So I always think of that when I think of the Sleepy Hollow. Even when you did the remake with Johnny Depp, I still had that like notion of like,
he's
kind of quirky.
Kind of a he's a school teacher. He's not a hero. He's not a.
No,
this guy's like a Revolutionary War hero.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's a defector from the British, and he's a spy for General George Washington.
I was like, who cares?
Where's my dollar that I threw across the...
Hey, anybody see that dollar I gave him to throw across the Delaware? He owes me a buck.
Don't lose your head over
it. But yeah, that's another one. Your mom likes it, I guess, because she, it's kind of that scary type stuff.
Has the jumps in it.
Yeah, but to me, it's like, I don't know. Something else I saw that I didn't care for. It doesn't matter. We've been talking too long anyway. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell by the number of hikers passing out on Camelback Mountain that it is time to bid you all adieu so we can go out and taunt them in person. There is nothing more gratifying than to make fun of a healthy person that has overdone their exercise routine and is now writhing in pain because of their actions. Feel the burn now.
I'm on fire.
If you purchase goods using Amazon.com, may we kindly ask that you do so through a link from the sociallyawkwardstudios.com website. Do we still do that? Okay, that's good.
Banner on the banner.
Oh, excellent. Amazon has agreed to sponsor our network with a portion of everything you buy from them through our site. It adds nothing to the cost of the product to you, but does provide us with the pocket change we need to buy gum, paper clips, and the tape used to hold the show together. Thank you for your support. If you would like to send us a tweet, look for the @idiot section and tweet away. We love the attention and we like to meet new tweeters. Hey, and even if you don't like us, really, please like us on Facebook @the Idiot Section. Who knows, one day you may indeed not only like us, but love us. You can check out our website, theidiotssection.com, to find links from the show as well as other information you are probably better not knowing. Thank you for listening.
This has been another fine production of the 4i Radio Network. For more great shows, check out www.4iradio.com.